To think that the answer to Trinidad's ills rests or vests in violence, some savage, because you have a militia now, because that's what it is. You have these officers out there in these fatigues with these masks and balaclavas with state-of-the-art weaponry. And whensoever they're involved, generally, people die. And Joe Public sits there on the sidelines. Great job, Gary. Great job, Gary. He's dealing a blow to crime. Each and every time, driving one more nail firmly into the coffin.
Well, I agree, because I have a good friend. He lived in England for some time as well. So I guess his perspective would have been broader than a lot of people's own. And he always says, if that is how we think dealing with it is going to work, then eventually when you and a policeman have a personal falling out, or the policeman, child mother leave him for you, they will come and set you up and shoot you. That's not speculation. That happens. Right.
No, that's exactly what happens. If someone in power wants what you want, or doesn't want you to have it, what do you think happens to you?
Yeah, so I understand where it could really go.
No, that's where it's going. Mm-hmm. That's where we are. And until or unless people take the opportunity to educate themselves and abate it, because you get to a stage where, because right now Trinidad's tither on the edge, where it will just descend into this base level, almost a state of anarchy. Because think of it this way, I think what Joe Public isn't appreciating is if you dehumanize people, which they have done, and you just mentioned certain postcodes, and people are, oh, those savages. Do you think those so-called savages are going to lie down and play dead? Sooner or later, you'll get to a stage where you'll see the police coming, and you're not going to wait for them to execute you, to say, your name's calling in this thing, and they come and drag you into some house, and then all of a sudden, on their report, you let them in, and then all of a sudden, you pull out some AK-47, and they shoot you dead. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you must believe me when I tell you that has a foundation that's predominantly fact. So when you hear about things like that, as the neighborhood would, and I'm not talking about those cases where they say, oh, he was ever such a good boy, and when you look, he has a rap sheet, thicker than the encyclopedia. When you have people who haven't been before the courts, their only crime in society's eyes is to live in one of these so-called hotspots or one of these alleged so-called ghettos, with the underprivileged and deprived. From the moment you make those people easy targets, anyone, you make them easy targets, that you dehumanize them, that they no longer matter, that they're not entitled to civil liberties, they're not entitled to human liberties or human rights, that they are fair game. What do you think happens? You're disenfranchising swathes of society. Whatever laws that you have, whatever practices or whatever procedures you have in place that a so-called civilized society is supposed to have, they fall out of that. So you can't complain when they don't play by the rules. When they see the police coming, they're not thinking these people are coming to save them. They're running because, as far as they're concerned, these people are coming to kill them. And when these people are finding them and killing them, sooner or later they're going to stop running. And when they stop running, what do you think happens next? When you disenfranchise a certain section of society, huge swathes of society, you create a them and us.